Hello everyone, my name is Olivia Hwang, and I'm proudly presenting my research project regarding housing, migration, enrollment, and economic growth in Santa Clara County. And I had the pleasure of being mentored by Ethan. So in this past year, my old middle school announced that it would be shutting its doors for good after 2024. I mean, my middle school, I had found some of my best friends and some of my favorite teachers there. It seemed crazy to me that it was happening. After the initial shock of that announcement, I looked deeper to figure out why this was happening, and I ultimately came out with the answer of declining enrollment. Now, this made me even more curious because what was causing this so-called declining enrollment, and what did it mean for the future residents of Santa Clara County? And this leads us into my actual research topic, which is analyzing the effects of the cost of housing in and out migration and school enrollment on economic growth in Santa Clara County. So for the methodology of this project, since we know that causation does not equal correlation, we use two components to provide evidence towards our hypothesis. One of this is data and statistical analysis with sources from the American Community Survey, the California Department of Education, and the Zillow Home Value Index. The other of this is logic and reasoning for potential causations. So together, these things, they provide evidence for our hypothesis, or as I like to call it, our pathway. So this pathway is essentially a line of reasoning, and we can break it down into 5 connections. So first in 1 and 2, we can see the rising cost of housing potentially causes more residents to have to move out and fewer residents to want to move in, and then consequently lowering school enrollment, as we can see in 3. And lowered school enrollment causes lower school budgets and decreases the quality of schooling, which diminishes the attraction to live in the area and housing demand, which we can see in 4, which then causes future property value of the area to decrease. And for this project, we will be using property value as a measure of economic growth. Now we can look into how each part of the pathway affects each other. So now between 1 and 2, I found that the change in the cost of housing correlates with outmigration from Santa Clara County. More specifically, these trends have a correlation coefficient of 0.88, indicating that they're strongly correlated. For time purposes, I won't be able to go into detail about in-migration, but generally in-migration rates are kind of irrelevant to this overall pathway. And don't really have a significant effect on anything. Now for outmigration and school enrollment, specifically for kindergarten through 8th grade, I've observed the correlation coefficient to be about 0.8, also indicating a strong correlation. So California public school funding is decided through a formula which relies heavily on average daily attendance for each school. So when enrollment is declining, schools start needing to cut programs or classes, which lowers the opportunities provided to those students and decreases school quality. In extreme cases, like my middle school, schools start needing to consolidate to preserve resources. Now moving on to 4 and 5, school quality doesn't only affect its students, it also impacts housing. So in the 2022 survey administered by the National Association of Realtors, it stated that just 4% of all reported home buyers compromise on the quality of schools when buying a home, showing that many home buyers do consider school quality to be a really important attribute when purchasing a home. In addition to this, decreased school quality impacts future companies' willingness to locate in Santa Clara County, as shown in a Business Journal article from the University of Pennsylvania. This all leads us to our final point, number 5, regarding property value and economic growth. The decreased quality of schools would negatively impact demand in the housing market. And since the area is home to the headquarters of numerous companies in the technology sector, the area's economic growth would also take a pretty huge hit from this. Now bringing it full circle, ultimately we are able to provide evidence towards attributing declining enrollment to the rising cost of housing and the long-term detriment that could have on economic growth in Santa Clara County. I've had so much fun presenting today, and if you have any questions at all, you can contact me at the email listed here. Thank you all and have an amazing day.